Imagine this: one company was built on magic, imagination, and dreams. Another was built on a simple frustration, returning a DVD late and paying a penalty. Yet today, both companies have fundamentally reshaped how the world consumes stories and entertainment. In contrast, Netflix was co-founded by Reed Hastings, whose idea came from a very practical problem: late fees. What began as a DVD rent service evolved into a global streaming platform that gives audience Disney's and Netflix. Disney was founded by Walt Disney, a visionary who believed storytelling could create emotional connections that last across over generations. From the creation of Mickey Mouse in the 1920s to the global theme park today, Disney has built an empire where stories are not just watched, but experienced and remembered. Access to thousands of shows and films anytime and anywhere. Although their origins are very different, both companies rely heavily on intangible assets to achieve success. These intangible assets cannot be physically touched, are true drivers behind their competitive advantage. In this presentation, I will focus on two intangible assets that both Netflix and Disney utilize: content and storytelling capability and brand combined with customer loyalty. I will compare how each company leverages this intangible asset and critically analyze how they contribute to their success. Let's begin with the content of the Disney storytelling, which sits at the core of the both business for Disney. Storytelling is not just a function, it is destiny. Disney produced stories that are emotionally rich, character-driven, and designed to last over time. Characters like Iron Man, they became long-term intellectual property that can be extended over movie. This shows Disney creates a powerful ecosystem where a single story generates multiple revenue streams over many years. More importantly, Disney's storytelling builds deep emotional connections with the audience, which strengthens long-term engagement and loyalty. Netflix, on the other hand, approaches storytelling in a very different way. Instead of relying primarily on traditional creative institution, Netflix uses data analysis to guide its content decision. Netflix produces content that is highly targeted and globally appealing. Shows like Stranger demonstrate Netflix's ability to quickly capture audience attention and generate global trends. This data-driven approach Netflix to be highly responded and adapted way. However, the strengths also create a limitation. While Netflix is excellent at generating short-term engagement, many of its shows doesn't develop in long-lasting frustration. Unlike Disney, Netflix always prioritizes quantities and speed over long-term storytelling depths. As a result, audience attachment to Netflix content tends to be short-lived. This means that although Netflix can continuously attract viewers, it must continuously invest heavily in new content to maintain its attention.
Is all about franchises and family-friendly entertainment. It's the home of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic. Built around recognizable brands and curated storytelling, Netflix is the all-purpose giant. It covers almost every genre imaginable, from prestige dramas and documentaries to anime, reality TV, stand-up comedy, and international hits. When it comes to libraries, Disney Plus leans heavily on brand power. If Marvel or Star Wars is your comfort zone, this platform feels essential. You also get classic animated films, Pixar shorts, and IMAX enhanced versions of select Marvel movies. Netflix wins on sheer scope. It refreshes its catalog constantly with originals, global series, true crime, and niche genres that Disney Plus rarely touches. It leads with its recommendation engine, top 10 lists, and mood-based suggestions.
Moving on to brand and customer loyalty, we see another important contrast between the two companies. Disney's brand is built on trust and emotional connection. For most consumers, Disney represents childhood memory, family experience, and timeless value. This emotional attachment creates a long sense of loyalty that is passed from one generation to the next. As a result, Disney customers are less sensitive to price and more willing to engage with multiple Disney products and services. In contrast, Netflix brand is associated with convenience, innovation, and variety. Customers value Netflix because it is easy to use, constantly update, and offer a wide range of content. When we combine with the two intangibles, storytelling capability and brand loyalty, we can clearly see that the difference in how each company create value. Disney transfers its intangible asset into a long-term ecosystem that generates consistent and diversified revenue. Netflix, in contrast, uses intangible to drive rapidly growth and continuously to engagement, but with less long-term stability. Based on this analysis, my recommendation is that Netflix should shift its strategic focus towards building stronger long-term intellectual property in order to enhance emotional customer loyalty. Currently, Netflix invests heavily on producing a large volume of content. While this strategy supports short-term growth, it doesn't fully address the challenge of the consumer retention. By focusing on fewer but higher quality production and by developing deeper system, Netflix can create the content that resonates more strongly with audience over time. This shift would allow Netflix to strengthen its brand and build a more sustainable competitive advantage. However, this recommendation is not without risk. Developing long-term intellectual property requires significant investment, involves uncertainty, and faces long competition from established players like Disney. Despite this challenge, for long-term benefit of the stronger emotional engagement overweight its risk. And this is my reference list. Thank you.